Now the Democrats in an election year have brought this up for I don't know what reason, saying now we want women to register because there's 250,000 women in the military right now. And if something was so catastrophic that we did have to draft people, why shouldn't women go? But why bring it up in an election year? Or am I too?
Tulsi Gabbard has been on a roll lately. You may have heard from our recent video that Trump just hired Tulsi to do debate prep against Kamala Harris, which is obviously genius considering back in 2020, Tulsi Gabbard dismantled Kamala Harris's campaign on that debate stage. Can she do it again? I guess we will find out at the September 10th ABC debate. But I also want to talk about some of her recent hits in the media because she has been going on a lot of different shows dismantling the military-industrial complex and the political establishment that is opposing Trump and his movement, as well as, of course, how could we forget, simply tearing into Kamala Harris. Recently, she went on the Bill Maher show to debate some of that stuff with the military-industrial complex, particularly its new alliance with woke politics, because you may have heard that a while back, the Democrats are now trying to add women to the military draft. And, you know, that is something important to consider as many young women especially consider voting for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, which is, hey, you may think, oh my gosh, feminism, all this stuff, but this is what they're really trying to do. So let's start today's video by reacting to this Bill Maher clip, folks. If you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. But all right, take a listen to this. Let's get into it.
Okay, here we are in overtime. I know I'm not in my suit. You'll have to watch the show to know why, but we're here with Chris Matthews and Tulsi Gabbard, and the first question is to you. Tulsi, should women be required to register for the military draft? I saw this. This is so interesting. The Democrats, so great at politics. I don't know why they brought it up now. I mean, men, I almost forgot this. Men do still have to register for the draft. Nobody gets...
Well, this is actually something that they also just changed in the legislation through the National Defense Authorization Act. Just a few weeks ago, is now men don't have to register because they're automatically registering them as soon as they turn 18.
Okay.
So you don't have to actually, you don't get to fill out a card or anything anymore.
But I remember I was about to be registered. I just turned 17 in 1973 when they were still drafting for Vietnam, and it was like that was the year. It was like, oh, we're not. Oh, it's like, oh boy, did I luck out on that one. But they still registered you. Now the Democrats in an election year have brought this up for I don't know what reason, saying now we want women to register because there's 250,000 women in the military right now, and if something was so catastrophic that we did have to draft people, why shouldn't women go? But why bring it up in an election year are my two questions.
I mean, first of all, I actually don't really think women should be going to war, especially via the draft. But whatever, maybe that's my sexist, patriarchal viewpoint on the responsibilities of us in society. But whatever, nonetheless, let it be said, why are they doing this in an election year? Because that is their platform. That is the Kamala Harris agenda. Start World War III. We're going to be so feminist that we're even going to send women to the draft. But look at her vibes, guys. She's dancing on TikTok. She's so revolutionary. We want to elect a black woman. Oh my gosh. This is the agenda, right? So let people know that. But anyways, let's listen here to Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now, to me, points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our warmongering politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support. When you look at what happened after
they didn't start the wars.
Well, when you look at what happened, you look at what happened after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Thousands and thousands of people from all across the country set aside their lives and volunteered because they wanted to go and fight for freedom and security and for peace. And you look at what happened after the attack on 9/11. So many Americans like myself, we enlisted to be able to ensure the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. And so when you look, to me, it's a big red flag that they're bringing this up right now. First of all, as we have multiple wars burgeoning around the world.
Yeah.
But as a you know, I've been deployed 3 times to different war zones. I don't want to be in a foxhole next to somebody who doesn't want to be there. First of all, that bond and that trust that exists between servicemen and women who are, you know, when bullets are flying is is so essential. You don't want to have somebody next to you who's like, hey, I don't want to be here. I don't want any part of this. That
sometimes it's
creates
just numbers.
A huge problem.
Come on. Sometimes it's just
you're talking about life and death. You're talking about life and death.
I know, but exactly. And if we need that numbers of troops, there just aren't. The people in Gen Z, they're not going to volunteer. I've seen videos of them talking about it. I'm like, no, you're right. This generation can't do it. The number of people you're going to have is just going to be, it's going to be a smaller force. I mean, compared to, how many, there's over 1 billion Chinese people if the war breaks out with them. I mean, I don't want to get cataclysmic about this.
These wars don't just happen out of thin air. I think that.
And that's the thing about it. Bill Maher just says, oh, it's about numbers. But let's be real. If a full-on war broke out with China, it wouldn't be a ground war, okay? It would be a nuclear war. Like, this is the state of the world today. And so, on Tulsi Gabbard's point of maybe we shouldn't have a draft, I don't know overall, maybe, I don't know, maybe in theory there's a situation where you could justify one, but I understand what she's saying 100%, which is they're doing this firstly because, yes, there are a lot of wars around the world. Most Americans don't want us to be involved in them, but the military-industrial complex, the political elite, clearly do want us to do it. So that is the exact reason they're now instituting the potential for another draft, is because they know they want to get us involved with these stupid, silly wars that the majority of Americans do not support. You saw that most Americans either don't support or maybe more accurately just don't care about enough to want to go fight the war for them. Because you saw after 9/11, they didn't need a draft. Why? Because a bunch of Americans were enlisting. They wanted to go fight for their country. But when people don't feel justified in fighting the wars, for when people are not that enthusiastic about them, maybe because they don't really benefit America or the people, then of course you're going to see that response. But perhaps the silver lining in the entire situation is that the feminists, at least, I don't support this, but at least get a little bit of a reality check, right? Because they are always saying, we want equal to men, we want to be doing the same things as men, but that only applies when it benefits the woman, right? Suddenly now, you're realizing as a consequence of feminism, hey, we also have to do the same annoying, bad responsibilities that men have to do, and then suddenly they're saying, oh no, please don't draft us, this is not right, yeah, we support the patriarchy now. So that part of it is kind of funny, I will admit, though.
That's my point.
No, but we didn't start that. We didn't invade Ukraine, and we didn't attack Israel. That's a silly thing to say.
I think the Iraq War was coming right out of the Dick Cheney's office.
That's true.
Oh, but that war.
That's true.
Yeah, that
okay,
one.
well, that's not Biden.
That's 200,000 dead people over there, and 4,000 of our people, and that was created by the neocons and Dick Cheney. Yeah. They did it. They did it in the op-ed pages of our major newspapers. They started the war, and they enjoyed it.
They did.
What do you make of Donald Trump promising that if elected, he would secure the release of the Wall Street Journal reporter who is being
And that, I think, in some ways plays off of the point that Tulsi Gabbard was trying to make here, which is Bill Maher just says all of Gen Z is soft. They wouldn't go fight a war. That's why we need a draft. But have you ever maybe considered that the reason young people are disaffected with the idea of enlisting in the military also has something to do with the fact that, I don't know, we've been lied to about so many of these wars? Gen Z kind of grew up in the fallout, in the aftermath of the Iraq War and the disaster that was for America. And then they see, what happened under the Obama years. They see what has happened with Biden. And they're just saying, why should we want to serve in this military? And maybe the point that Tulsi Gabbard is trying to make here is, if you want a functioning and robust military that people actually want to join, maybe use it in ways that the American people also support, right? Don't just kind of force it on everyone and then expect to have a good military because of that. But anyways, there was Tulsi Gabbard silencing Bill Maher a little bit. Now let's react to a recent clip of her on a podcast talking about Kamala Harris herself, whether or not she is fit for president. And this, I think, is something that the Trump campaign could certainly utilize, both in debate prep, but also I think she should be in front of the camera more. But take a listen.
What do you think of Kamala? You bodied her only a couple of years ago. What do you think of her?
The same thing that I thought of her back then is she, and this is what I warned people against in 2019, is she is incapable and unfit to be president and commander in chief, she would be very dangerous in that position, not only because she will be easily manipulated and controlled by those unelected powers that be that we talked about, but also would immediately feel like she needs to exert and show strength, and that would come at an incredibly high cost to our men and women, my brothers and sisters in uniform, to our country, and quite frankly, to the world, especially given the situation that we're facing today, where, you know, we're on the brink of war with Russia and China, Iran, North Korea, just to name a few. Oh, and also, by the way, we are closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, certainly in our lifetimes. And so in any one of these examples, it takes one spark for any one of these situations to quite literally blow up. She has demonstrated through her time as vice president, through her time as U.S. Senator, through her time as the Attorney General of California, District Attorney of San Francisco, in every opportunity, every position that she held where she had the opportunity to put the interests of the people she was supposed to be serving first, she put her own political interests first, and clearly does not believe in the Constitution and fundamental freedoms. So she's not alone in this, obviously, but she is now, not officially, but will be very soon, the Democratic nominee for president. And we as voters should not allow the political, like, food fight that's going to go on to get in the way of actually knowing the facts of her record and her failed record.
And that too, folks, is, I think, such an underrated talking point. Obviously, what are Kamala Harris's main weaknesses? Immigration, crime, her crazy plans in regards to the economy, etc., etc. But what about the fact, obviously, Trump is running as the peace candidate, right? He's going to bring an end to the wars. You're not going to see this stuff happening around the world. But on top of that, in contrast, Kamala Harris, according to Tulsi Gabbard, is someone who is likely to start World War III. Now, she's not just saying that for no reason. She's pointing out why. Because Kamala, you know, the whole tough girl act, I'm a prosecutor. What will that apply to foreign policy, right? Because we know she's not really tough, but she's going to act tough. She's going to kind of posture herself. What type of dangerous or reckless situations could that enter the United States into when push comes to shove and we really are in a crisis situation foreign policy wise that actually requires a level head and rational thinking? You really think Kamala Harris is capable of that? Of course she is not. And you combine that with the fact that they're now doing an automatic draft. This is what the Democrats are proposing in Congress. Automatic draft, drafting women to the military on election year right before they hope to get Kamala Harris elected in November. What is really going on there? What is really going on there? I think you can decide for yourself. But folks, that'll do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let me know your thoughts and be sure to follow me on X and social media, link in the description. And until next time, God bless and peace.